Okay, folks, Babbage and are back. We had a night off. We're back again. So on tonight, on tomorrow night, and then I think after that we're going. Still late at night. Should we just sleep? Yeah, let's find a place to sleep. Except for, are we? We're not in the last match, are we? We're not that bad off. No, we're not. Okay. Okay, so just put our stuff down. We're low on food.
Man, this pack is getting kind of heavy. I need to find food.
So I think this is whatchamacallit. Oh, we should have put stuff down. Let's do that. Okay, go out here, check this out. Nope, you don't want to check it out. Leave it alone.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
And another bot. Go away, bots. Still stormy? Still stormy. Hey, Roller, good to see you.
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
Thanks for the hydrate. Cheers to you.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Uh-oh. Dog food. Busy day full of news. She needs nap soon. Okay. Totally get it. Good news? Or are you talking world news? You sent me something on Discord. I think I saw it. I think I looked at it. It was pretty cool. But weird, yes. Let's see, let me look at that again. Abiginator. I do like that meme where the reward for reading more books is more books. That is kind of how I live my life. And then I still don't finish all the books that I have. Let us see what else. And then you sent me something else, I think. Directly, right? Yeah, I didn't have a chance to read the whole article, but I skimmed it, and that's pretty wild. It's just wetware. We are moving towards the Matrix, right? That's what we're going towards. Yep. Okay. So just the Matrix. Just the Matrix. Apparently we can't keep the fire going. Okay, we don't need to take 28 coal with us, so let's just prepare to... Let's take 13 with us instead. We can sneak through. Probably what we should do is sneak through to the to Hibernia. Yeah, we started a little bit late. Perfectly good excuse. Rewatching a really amazing Korean action movie thriller called The Cop, the Gangster, and the Devil, which is about a police officer, so a cop and a Korean mob boss who end up having to team up to hunt down a serial killer. And it's actually based on a real story. Real incident that happened back in 2005, so pretty wild. But I was watching that with my roommate. Turns out my roommate and I have similar tastes in action films, so that's really good. Okay, we're gonna just take these right now. I'm gonna take a bunch of torches too. Okay, that's it for us. So yeah, I think this may become a regular thing that we do. After dinner, but before I start streaming, watch some, maybe a couple times a week watch a movie. Roommate bonding. Yeah.
This'll come in handy.
That is perfect. So we're like about 95% done with our furnishing of the apartment. We got a small dining table the other day and some chairs. So we have an alternative to sitting in front of the coffee table on the couch. Got my roommate found a desk. So we assembled that. Moved it, well, disassembled, moved it, reassembled it. Ordered a rug that was on sale.
Man, this pack is getting kind of heavy.
Which will come sometime next week. Then all that's left is would really like to get a some sort of a reading chair for the living room, so an alternative sitting on the couch. Oops. Tomorrow we're going back to IKEA to return one thing and then look at some more lamps, see if we can find something. Because while we have plenty of lighting, it's mostly overhead and somewhat harsh lighting.
Not sure I can carry much more.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Take advantage of this. Big sneezes. Oh, forgot I was gonna. How many of these do we need? We don't need all of these. Yep. Let's go ahead and just harvest these guys. Hmm. $36. $41, $36, $41, and there we go.
I think I can use this.
Maple syrup. Joy. Little fry bar.
Oh, I've never been so hungry in my life.
We still do not have a hammer. It being a custom run, I thought there might be a chance we'd find one here, but not seeing it. So I really think we are looking at low baseline resources, which is basically interloper settings for loot, which means nothing is easy. The hammer's going to be somewhere. We might have missed it in Coastal Highway.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
Flare pistol. Ah. There we go. Yep, just the last few days before school officially starts up again. My schedule's kind of chill though. I just have Wednesdays and Fridays for classes. Okay, let's see, what else can we eat? Okay, we'll buy us a little bit of time. What else can I report back on? So, I kind of gave in to childhood, a little bit of nostalgia, and I saw that the remake of Wizardry 1, you know, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord, was on sale on Steam, so I got that. It has all upgraded graphics, but underneath it, it's still actually the same original game with some modern tweaks and a few like quality of life improvements, and the ability to switch back and forth so that you can, or switch to, you can turn on some of the original features if you wanted to have the same, exact same feel as the original, or you could leave some of the modernizations in there, which some of them address like long-standing bugs that were in the original that never were fixed, and others are just like we have a better UI overall. Yeah, I've been playing that for this week for a few days. Not like obsessively and not like a lot, but just like an hour or two here and there. Yeah. I think I've got like 3 hours in the game or something. Ooh, that was clever. A little close. Lit the torch as it rolled off the edge. I can stay here and do some repairs. We should still probably...
I can barely walk with this much gear.
check.
Come on, little fire.
Okay. Let's see. We've got stuff to drop here. Oh, we don't have flour. No pancakes without flour. Okay, let's see here. Oh, we could do porridge.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
Okay. No.
I'm not gonna be able to carry this load for much longer.
Okay, what else we got here?
with this much gear.
This feels like it should be Friday, but it's actually Wednesday. This week before school starts is such a weird week because you get your sense of time is all messed up because you don't have the standard markers of your week, like in terms of like when the courses are, you know, when you're supposed to be in class. You just have sort of an impending sense of impending doom that you're going to have to worry about that soon. But right at this moment, one day is pretty much like the next. I have work, but it's basically, my work is so flexible. You know, I've had a few meetings here and there, but mostly it's just check in and just report back how whatever research or project is going along.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
I don't think we'll get to forge here. Oops. It's kind of a wasted run out here to Desolation Point since we thought we might get lucky and get the hammer, but it has proven too difficult to pull off. Not difficult, just we're unlucky. Turns out we do indeed have the low baseline resource, which means nothing is where you need it. We've had like a flood of these bots pop in.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
think we're going to the lighthouse. Ooh. 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 Ah. Harvestable plants has to be low. We're just not finding very much anywhere. Oh boy.
I can barely walk with this much gear. I think I need to lie down. This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
Okay. Focus, focus, focus. Hmm.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
Okay.
Come on, little fire.
Okay, what else can be cooked? We pick up flour. We did finally pick up flour. I don't think there's enough flour though. Yeah, not enough flour. Getting a little sleepy, but we're still going strong. Other than the fact that we did not find the hammer along the way to here, so this was kind of a wasted trip. Yeah. $11 days, 10 hours. Okay, a little sleepy. Let's see. Let's take a little short break here. Don't forget my pot. Drop the extra cans. Okay, we'll take a short 5-minute break. Stretch my legs out a little bit, and I'm back. Okay, I'm back. But I'm not certain how long I'm gonna manage here. I just pulled a muscle in my, well, I don't know if I pulled, it just got a, what's it, Charlie horse? I don't know what they're called. Anyways, muscle spasm. My leg, joy. Okay, let's go ahead and do some work, right? Tear all this stuff up. Hey, Hyperman, welcome in. Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome in, Raiders. I'm Babbage-nator. I stream The Long Dark. Canadian streamer based in Vancouver, BC. Currently doing a challenge. Here, we'll give you a little heads up on the challenge. Challenge we're doing is You Know Nothing. It's a custom settings run in which I run a random generator. Well, basically, I get a code that was generated by a random generator that reflects a completely randomized custom settings run. But I don't know the code. I know the code, I don't know the settings. And I just play until I run 50 days and try to figure out as many of the settings as we can. So the recent rewrite, I recently rewrote the generator so that you could select difficulty settings, like levels. So you could say, I want a challenge that's between Stalker and Interloper. And it will give you something that feels like it's somewhere in between. But to be perfectly honest, some of the most interesting ones are actually in the, I'd say, the Voyager Stalker range, because there's a lot more variety of what could happen. Let's see, we don't need this one. But yeah, so as you can tell, I like making my own challenges. And I really like this game a lot. So, but just seconds before you guys rated, I also went and, I don't know, I'm having muscle spasm in one of my legs. I think I twisted or turned a little too quickly when I was getting down to my chair earlier. So, yeah, trying to let that relax a little bit. Yeah, well, that's the problem, right? Sometimes you sit too long. Need some potassium, yes. Might have to add in. I used to take a multivitamin every day, and I stopped, and I probably should again. Although the research basically says, wow, research says that Astrid can't fix her clothes. Wow, that's terrible. That's an amazing string of failures. Okay. Let's see here. We'll just try to repair these. But as you can tell, we're in Desolation Point. We gambled when we decided to take off and go through Coastal Highway, thinking that there was a chance we might be able to get a hammer. We did not have any luck finding the hammer. We still pressed on to Desolation Point, thinking we might get something else that was useful. We largely did not. We got some more food. That's basically what we got. So. Yeah, I do low or no salt most of the time. I'm with you on that. I have high blood pressure, so trying to make adjustments throughout my diet. And I've also been working hard actually the last 3 or 4 weeks to add back in a 20-minute exercise routine in the mornings and to really focus on eating smaller portions and treating myself better. So, I mean, it's definitely made a difference. And we're getting there.
I'm getting tired.
Do we go for the... Well, we do have some herbal... we do have some... whatchamacallit, some reishi tea, so we could do this. Let's eat the crappy food. Take our chances. Now... But yeah, so I've been trying to work harder and get myself back into shape. My goal is to get myself back to healthy weight. It's actually not even a number. To feel healthy and to fit my clothes better. Possibly to get a new set of clothes. By the time I graduate in May. So, partly it's for health. Partly there is the, this is worse in the States, I think, than in Canada, but still a factor. There is, it's just true that you have, and this is totally wrong, but you have better chances on the job market if you're in healthy, fit shape. Yeah, it's an unconscious bias with a lot of interviewers. Sometimes it's a conscious bias, which is even worse, but yeah. But I also just want to be in better shape because I am getting old. That is the truth. Because if the zombie apocalypse happens, or if we get the good old geomagnetic event that knocks out all power and I have to start learning how to run from wolves, I will need to be in better shape, right? Yeah. But who am I kidding? Unlike this game, I would not be able to survive a wolf struggle.
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
Okay. It's true. It's true. I'm essentially following the same strategy for losing weight and getting healthy as I did during my PhD, when I spent like 6 months avoiding working on my dissertation because I didn't know what to do. And instead just focus on getting myself healthy. I lost about 60 pounds in about 9 months, I think it was. So I definitely know I'm capable of doing that. And it was a healthy, gradual loss. You know, it wasn't like I didn't have like lots of flabby extra skin going on. That's what happens when some people go really extreme. Bodies shed too much too quickly, and there's no yeah, their bodies don't know what to do with all the extra excess skin. We feel lucky. We feel hungry. We feel hungry. But in terms of fighting off wolves, yeah.
Come on, little fire. Come on.
I do believe that. I do believe that you find some extra reserves to tackle whatever you're doing. Sometimes you can accomplish the physical feats that you did not think were possible. Yeah. But yeah, I should probably do a little more information about myself. So for those of you who are new to this channel, I am Babbaginator. I am a writer, the author of 2 books of poetry, former computer games programmer, and let's see, what else do I do? Longtime D&D player and DM. I wrote a PhD dissertation on, I guess you could describe it as the cultural history of artificial intelligence in the 19th century. It's basically a deep dive into how the machine became a person in the 19th century. 10, 20, yeah. So you can ask me about all sorts of weird stuff, and I'll probably have some sort of insight or, I don't know, experience relate. On this channel, people sometimes use their points to redeem different things, including getting me to read poetry, my own or other people's, making me make cat noises, also something I do, and so good. I don't know, we talk about literature, we talk about writing, we talk about lots of interesting different things. Oh, I didn't mean to use my hacksaw for this. It's faster to do it without. Yeah. Another carcass over there. It's a sapling. Saplings have been pretty rare. We think we have a low harvestable plants level. What do we got here? Oh, we can't harvest this guy. We got laws. We got standards. Astrid doesn't eat the flesh of humans. Not even the long pig. So yeah, what else can I tell you guys? Well, that was almost more excitement than we were planning on. Get over there. Looks like another fish, right? Nothing over there. Okay. Probably can get to it from the ice. This way. Nope. It's just a trap. Don't go over there. Like tasty fish over there. Nope, can't get it. Yeah, so I moved into this new place. Let's see. It has been probably about 3 weeks. So my roommate and I have been slowly, not so slowly, we've been pretty steadily trying to furnish this place. Oops, why are we throwing stuff around, Astrid? So that's been kind of fun. We're getting there. I think we've got a few things left to take care of. Want to get a reading chair for the living room. I got a sofa for nothing, like a free leather sofa, and I furnished a lot of it pretty cheaply. So probably our biggest expense so far has been, let's see, bought a 42-inch TV off of another student for $89. That was a really good deal. We spent $100 in getting a dining table with 3 chairs. So it was an IKEA 29-inch square table. No, it doesn't seem like much, but the space that we have available, you know, in our living room to set aside as a dining area isn't particularly big, so that actually made sense. It was in good condition, excellent condition. And I bought it off of someone who is the lead singer for a alternative metal band who is moving to Montreal. So I should have asked her what her the name of the band was. Given her a plug on this, but anyways, yeah. So that was kind of wild. That was $100. Coffee table was $30. So the rug's the most expensive, which is about $190 for the rug. But it's new and it's being delivered, so we'll take that. But yeah, it's been a little bit of an adventure. We been to IKEA a few times. We tried the other day. We tried going over to Winners and HomeSense to see if we could find anything helpful in terms of What were we looking for? Oh, rugs, I think. And we did settle on... No, actually, we didn't buy it from there. Where did we buy that? We got that one from Home Depot. Yeah. Winter's HomeSense was kind of a dud, to be honest. Our biggest limitation in buying stuff is the fact that you don't have a SUV or a truck. I have a like an older 2008 Hyundai Sonata, which has like really big trunk and cabin space for storing, for like moving stuff. But it is still not really, it's not really viable for moving, let's say, a club chair or like a, you know, a wingback chair or anything like that. Yeah, the big stuff is like either still not worth it because it's overpriced, or the selection's not great. It's super hit or miss. And then the one we went to was actually terrible because I don't know if this is true of all the stores or if it's just this particular store that had this policy. But their cashiers do double duty. They handle both returns and purchases. And so the line gets bogged down when multiple people are there to do returns. And so they had like, I think 4 cashiers at one point, and 2 of them were doing returns. One of them was dealing with a particularly I don't know, somewhat of a problem customer who kept on making some unrealistic demands. And so that basically is 3 cashiers occupied, and 1 trying to deal with the backlog. That's just dumb. It's just dumb. You should just always have one. It would be smart to have at least one designated returns person. And yes, some of the time they do nothing. But most of the time, you just channel all the purchases through the purchase lines, and you don't have to worry about the line getting backed up because you've got people moving quickly. But apparently, this is not an idea that the manager thought of. So. Not think their way through this. Alright, what else do we have? Let's try this. Yeah, it turned out HomeSense had no sense when it came to optimizing their lines. We tried the local Salvation Army the other day, and that was not bad, but not good for large stuff. They actually had an excellent selection of clothing, but we looked for some kitchen stuff. We didn't find as much as we had hoped for. Yeah. The art was really hit or miss. I usually pick through the art in the book section. The books were pretty run-of-the-mill, depressing thrift store books where there's just really, I don't know, a lot of pulp, not much in terms of interesting content. and nothing that jumped out as something I wanted to buy. And then the artwork was the most interesting thing I picked up. I looked at something, I almost bought it, but it was like a unnumbered print that was probably part of a generic package. You know, maybe it was sold at some sort of department store, I think. It looked pretty good at first glance. But I also kind of thought about it. It's just like, where would I stick it exactly? It doesn't quite fit with what I got going on in the room. So, yeah. So I don't know. Still working on my wall art problem. Not that anyone's ever going to see it, right? It's like, if anything, I probably should do something about what's behind me, which is pretty much just a big blank wall right now. And then what's in front of me, I'm thinking actually it's less about wall art. I'll see it, right? It's part of what, you know, makes it home for me, right? So what you can't see is over on this side, I have a reproduction print of. So actually, it's a high-res image of an 1851 map of London in color. And so a while ago I went to Staples and had it printed out, and it was broken up into sections, and I had it printed out, and then I pieced the whole thing together, mounted it on styrofoam, and I have that up on the wall on this side, but you really can't see it. But it's something I like because I wrote my dissertation on the 19th century literature and popular imagination around artificial intelligence. And so there's a back burner project of writing a novel set in the same time period, referencing a lot of the same people that I had written about in a critical lens, taking the same ideas and kind of going into a paranormal mystery novel with it. So that's there to remind me I need to work on that at some point. And then on this other wall, which you also can't see, I have one watercolor and one print of there are cats. Now the watercolor I think is really my favorite of these. Well, it's been with me for a while. I picked it up at a thrift store, and it is an original watercolor. It's actually quite beautiful, really well done, and it's beautifully framed and mounted. So I like that one. And then I bought one recently off Facebook Marketplace, which was advertised as a painting. But once I got it, I looked at it and I realized it was really a print on canvas of a digital painting, which I suspect, but I cannot prove, is probably an AI generated image. So I'm not certain. But I did like the image. So I ended up going ahead and purchasing the thing anyways, because it had a nice frame, it looked good, it fit well with the other stuff. I was like, okay, I'm not going to buy anything else from this guy, but I'm okay with this particular image. Yeah. So there's a little corner that's kind of cat related, and I just need to figure out what I'm doing with the back wall.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
Yeah, and another part of the wall I have like a few years back I used to live in Vancouver, Washington, not Vancouver, BC, but Vancouver and Washington is just north of Portland, Oregon. And one of the poems, a fragment of one of the poems, one of my poems, was selected to run on buses. It was part of a what do they call it? Poetry Moves project, part of the transit system sponsored art program, and so they let me, after I won, you know, sort of, I was selected as part of that group, and so you could go on the buses, you would see like where instead of advertising, you'd see my fragment of my poem up there. They gave me a copy of that, so I have that on the wall as well. But yeah, I didn't bring any big art with me when I moved out here. It's just too difficult to move big art. So, and then I have all my degrees framed, but I haven't got around to putting them on the wall. I feel like if I ran, if I had a space that I was using as a consulting office, right, then it would make sense to have the degrees up. And if I were still actively, I'm not as active these days, but if I were still actively running my writing coaching business, working as a professional creative writing coach, then I would probably have the degrees a little bit more visible when I'm Zooming, when I'm in Zoom calls with people. It's just sort of a subtle reassurance that I do have the educational background. That warrants them paying money for my expertise. I'm not so egotistical as to blow up the covers of my books and put them on the wall. I think that's a little tacky. Although, if you've ever seen the movie, or not the movie, the TV series, Bosch, the main character, who's a cop who wrote a book that got turned into a movie, has the movie poster for the movie, which is based on him, in his house. And I thought, well, maybe I'd make an exception if I wrote something that got turned into a movie, right? Well, I guess the closest thing that's going to happen for that is I am also working in an opera, and so my composer friend and I have been collaborating on this opera piece that's, or not opera piece, opera, full-length opera, which is supposed to debut in 2027 in New York at the Prism Festival, which is a really big deal. If there is poster art for that, I think that would make sense to stick on the wall. But it's pretty early at this stage. Most of the text has been written. Like, I've done my part, written the text that's spoken and sung, and the composer is just at the stage where she is writing the music and creating sort of the bridges between things. So we hope to be done this fall, I think, with the drafting of it, and then there'll be some more workshopping of it. And then in, 2026, I think it's November 2026, we're doing a soft opening of it in LA, and then it's going to get its formal debut in January of 2027. So yeah, I think out of all that, there almost certainly will be a poster of some sort. So, but that's a long time to wait to stick something on the wall. I have been thinking about, like, what could I use, like, large form printing to
I'm not gonna
print
be able to
out.
carry this load for much longer.
Okay, let's see. I think we're going to sleep here. Okay, what else do we have here? Haven't cooked that. Still a little too much oil. We don't need all that oil. And drop that. Drop that. Drop that. We don't need 5 stones. So I mentioned something earlier in the stream before the raid, and I'll mention it again because I'm not certain if anyone else is either grew up playing this game or discovered it later on. But I'm a huge fan of like computer role-playing games in general, and one of the first truly great, in fact, one of the first computer role-playing games ever was Wizardry, Proving Grounds of the Mad Overlord, which this relatively recently had a remake launch. So someone went through and gave the whole thing a facelift, gave it 3D art, and just overall just like improve the quality of the game, make it a lot more friendly. And yet underneath it all, it's actually still running the original code. It's just had this facelift given to it for improved user interface and user experience, with some bug fixes that were never dealt with in the original game, and a few other things that have been adjusted, which are optional. You can switch them back to the original. Adjusted so they might play a little bit more like a modern, contemporary role-playing game. But yeah, so I've been doing that on, if I have an hour or two to spare and I'm not streaming, it's been fun to kind of draw it back in, nostalgia purposes mainly, but it's actually a really good game. In this sort of truly hardcore tradition, in the sense that your characters will die, and sometimes permanently, and you'll not be able to get them back. So you're constantly making new characters and creating backup parties and things like that. I enjoy it though. It is kind of fun to go back and play it again. So I don't know if I'll stream that at some point. I don't think so. I checked, and I don't think there's like really any sort of following on Twitch. There's like a handful of people that have streamed it. So I think it might be too niche, but or maybe I'm just ahead of the curve, right? I don't know. What do we got? We got still have some leather, so we can make some more attempts at repairing stuff. Oh, this is really disappointing. Okay, we're at double digits, plus 11. Still missing our main code. I think the reality is we're not forging here, so we should just dump this. Make our lives a little bit simpler. Okay. Let's head on out.
This pack is getting kind of heavy.
Okay. But we dumped a lot of stuff, so we can travel a lot faster now. Oh, we really should check out the stone church here. See if there's anything. Well, actually, what we should do here, not cause trouble. Leave all the guts back here. Don't need to pull all the wolves in. We can just pick one more stone. Yep, that was worth coming for. Okay, let's see. So we looted all of Desolation Point. Actually, almost all of it. We skipped the... We didn't go to Scruffy's cave, and we didn't go and loot the car on the bridge by the bear, or the stuff around the bear cave. So we skipped some stuff, but there's nothing there that's like essential. We already have a good toolbox. We don't need to see if we get a toolbox out of the car by the bridge. So. Well. Ah! Wasted a match. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
Okay. Pressing on, pressing on. We really should cook that. tired. You start missing turns like that. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Trucking along. Trucking along. Singing our song.
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
Okay. Okay. I think we're probably going to have to wrap up here soon. I'm starting to get sleepy again. And we can't have that. Okay, let's go to the basement. Oh, leg cramp is gone. That's a good feeling. But I will need to get a good night's sleep. I'm going to be pulling in wolves soon enough.
Perfect.
Okay. We forgot to cook that. I'll just eat it.
I need to find a place to rest.
Yeah, tell me about it. Answer's tired. Babbaginator's tired.
And this pack is getting kind of heavy.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap up here. We are on day 13. Okay, there we are. Did we say we're on day 13? Yeah. Day 13. Okay, so we made it to day 13. We're going to wrap up here shortly. I think we'll do this again. Leave, re-enter, save. Okay. Yeah, let's read a poem. Poem chooser. I choose something different. Nah, too weird for this one. Not feeling that one either tonight. That's always fun to read. We'll read that one. Okay, so this is Encapsulation. Comes from my second book of poetry, Babbage's Dream, published by Sundress Publications in 2017. This is a poem entitled Encapsulation. A lot of these poems, well, this poem is part of a series of poems in the collection that take programming terms and reinvent them as lyric poetry. So here we go. Encapsulation. There is always something that refuses to be contained. Small matters, like fall, how it appears suddenly in the margins of our world, say, in the torn edges of a love letter, an unnamed city of desire buried in its blue ink scrawl, or the river gravel scattered at your feet, or whatever the wind wraps around a wrought iron angel at dusk. Something eludes our description of the world and its objects. The birds casting their long fat shadows across the last traces of light. The rain, even the leaves in the fallow field, caught between fire and gutter. Here another line forms, a procession of constants, a conduit of sorts, that carries what it does not consider. The watery gray sky, the now brittle veins of summer. The earth overflows with the memory of itself and every incarnation of the dead. Layer after layer, husk after husk, one life bleeds into another. Inside, the stones are fitted so precisely that not even a blade can find a home. It's not that we do not know the order of the world and its unmaking. There are methods here, secrets to be held, things we would remember and pass on by one name or another. We set our ears to the coldest wall, listen to the night, like an old trawler sounding its way through the deep. Beneath us, the sharp bones of ships, the incessant thrum of waves. Okay, so a little behind the poem. Encapsulation. So encapsulation is a larger programming concept related to object-oriented programming, and the idea that like a well-defined object encapsulates, it's self-contained. Its methods and its data are, some of them are private and some of them can only be accessed through like other calls, method calls that it has. So rather than getting the data or modifying data directly, you're passing something and asking it to do it to itself. And so in that way, like how something handles or implements something, it becomes invisible to the person on the outside. And then when you get into object inheritance, where you have this hierarchy or this parent-child relationship where like there's a broader object, an archetypal object, and then there's something that descends from it that inherits some of its properties and its methods, but then also can rewrite or overwrite them in interesting ways specific to its needs. So taking that and bringing it all back to the world itself, and how, when you look at the world, it is full of layers. And one life does bleed into another. And the line there, the stones are fitted so precisely that not even a blade could find a home, is from descriptions of these ancient stone walls that have been found in various parts of the world, where they're made out of these giant blocks of stone, often irregular shaped, and yet somehow perfectly fitted together without mortar, so that they're so tightly fitted that you can't even stick a blade between them. Anyways, I remember reading one book on sort of this, trying to piece together what people, like this particular civilization seems to have been a seafaring civilization that took their knowledge from place to place. And so this book was walking through, looking at, sort of archaeological sites that had this type of construction. And that was kind of a throwaway line in there, was this reference, not even a blade can find a home, which kind of really resonates in this larger sense of, I think I'm always writing about in-betweenness and the difficulty of locating oneself or finding a home. I grew up between cultures and countries and languages. And so, I think that this is an ongoing sort of, theme that shows up in my work. The object-oriented, aspect of this is also showing up in phrases like the order of the world and its unmaking. There are methods here, secrets to be held, things we should remember and pass on by one name or another, is kind of a much more poetic interpretation of what exactly object-oriented programming is, that you do define the order of a thing, as well as, we write or rely on an implicit constructor and destructor. In other words, when something is created, there are things that have to be initialized, and when it is destroyed or deleted, there are things that have to be released or undone. I did that annoying thing where I accidentally pulled the cord out of my own headset, so yay. Anyways, I've been blathering, so we're gonna let that go. And thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. We are going to thanks. Yeah, if you want to check out more about Babbage's Dream, so you can find out more about this book that I just read from on my author site. But the one we didn't read from is Lost Country of Sight, and you can also read about that. That won the Philip Levine Prize back in 2007, which was a major award that leads to the publication of the book and distribution. So both of these are like traditionally published through literary presses, often with some of them with university ties. So, yeah, but lately I've been doing more opera stuff. I really should put together a little command that does the opera info as well, if you want to read up about that. But the current project that we're working on is something called Star Singer, which is, in a very broad sense, about how we lose language and traditions. Like they fail, we fail to pass them on. And so it's about a mother and a daughter, and the mother is the last of a line of women who sing a song in this kind of fairy tale world that keeps it's always night out, and the night is very dark except for the fact that the stars always shine, and the stars always shine because this long line of women have been responsible for singing a song that keeps the stars lit. And the mother wants to pass this on to the daughter, but the daughter doesn't really believe that this is important or even effective at all. And so she leaves home and doesn't finish her training. And the opera begins with her discovering her mother's death. And shortly afterwards, the stars start going out, and she realizes she will have to take up what her mother wanted to give her. But she doesn't know how to sing or perform the song, and she doesn't know how to begin. And so there's a journey that goes on as she tries to figure things out. And she moves through these different emotional states, which are made physical. The spaces are actually physical. And she encounters, aspects of her memory with her mother and different parts of the grieving process before she ultimately learns that although it may be impossible to recover exactly what her mother had, it is possible to create something for yourself that draws on that tradition, instead is also something completely new. And so that's the big opera project we're working on right now. And I have to say, I'm biased, but it's gorgeous. It's amazing. And I am really, really looking forward to being able to share more of that with you. But we've got contracts, and so we can't really go sharing the work that's been done up until now, because there is like an official debut process that has to go through. So we can't share that content yet. But we are writing it in such a way that individual pieces will be registered, so that they will also be available for people that just want to perform the individual pieces, like the aria from this particular section. That gives us the freedom to have those pieces perform more widely, because not everyone can do the whole opera, but they might want to do one or two pieces as part of a music festival or a recital of some sort. And And if those are performed and recorded, that is something I can share. You know, yeah, the opera is. If you had asked me about 5 or 6 years ago if I'd be doing opera, I would have laughed, and I thought, like, what, me, opera? I know nothing about opera, but it's really been quite the adventure. You know, learning how to write and think about things in a way that really leans into what can be done with music, what can be done with acting and performance, and movement on the stage, and other elements that aren't language at all. It's a real education. And then also, like, as a writer, writing opera, you have to be brief. Um, you have to write in such a way that language, the lines that are spoken, can be broken up into parts, can be repeated in interesting ways, can be worked into counterpoints and into others or counter melodies. Um, and if you want like an excellent, sense of what's possible, you know, and these are examples that are drawn not from opera, but I would say from contemporary musicals that offer us an insight into what's possible. I think of like things like Hamilton as being very operatic, in my understanding of things. Um, and also really a wonderful example of what's possible with introducing a phrase at the beginning of the story that ends up taking on many, many different meanings over the course of it. And by the end, becomes something tragic. It reveals something that was never intended. If you've seen Hamilton, like one of the recurring lines is, "I'm not going to throw away my shot," and yet it's exactly effectively what happens at the end. Um, yeah, and so like I love sort of that type of like awareness of how a line or a phrase can have all these different meanings. And that's when I'm writing opera, I'm really thinking about that, which is like, how can I give the composer the most bang for the buck so that I write something and it means one thing in the voice of one character, but actually means something different in the voice of the other character. And it creates this really interesting tension between like what the audience knows and what the characters on the stage are representing, which they may not understand the full weight of what they're saying or singing. So yeah, so it's a lot. If you want sort of a sample of like what I've done before, that is in the vein of opera. Like we wrote a couple pieces for an opera project that never really finished. Kind of a proof of concept. We wanted to write about Charles Babbage and Ada Lovelace. So we wrote about Ada Lovelace. And let's see if I can find some examples from that. Okay. I'm going to see. We'll share this right now, actually. We'll do this. Let me do this because it's kind of fun. We were on the topic, and oh, why don't we do it this way? I'll just move this over to this side. Bring this back over here. We will bring this back on. And think this should work. Yeah, okay. So this is a performance of two pieces in a opera about Ada Lovelace, who was in the 19th century worked with Charles Babbage, instrumental in the development of the ideas around what would have been the first computer and establishing like key concepts. Like she caught the vision and she understood and articulated, to others that she recognized that what Babbage was building wasn't just a calculator, but would be something that, and didn't necessarily have to operate only in the realm of science, but was actually a device, a general purpose device that might one day be used to create art and music. And that's like an amazing, amazing insight into how things work. With the, like, so she basically saw what we were going to do in our day, and that's an amazing insight. I should give a little context. So she's singing the part of Ada at a particular point in Ada's life where she is no longer actively involved in mathematics. She's been married for a few years. Her husband wants her to play the role of a woman of society and not, pursue her mathematical interests. And so she's kind of expressing her discontent with that. And an opportunity comes up to do something, to work with Charles Babbage on translating a review of the analytical engine. This review was written in Italian by an Italian mathematician. Ada reads the review and translates it, but then goes on to write endnotes and commentary that go about 5 times as long as the original review. And her insights are far deeper, more comprehensive, and much more like forward looking than even the mathematician. And even Babbage admitted it was just like she understood what he was doing and could explain it better than he could. And it was devastating. Eventually, Ada passes away early from cancer. And so he loses like his primary spokesperson and a close friend, in the process. But this is the stage where she's like a housewife now and a socialite, but she wants to be back working in mathematics. Oh yeah, I'm gonna pause it there, or actually probably stop it there because it is kind of there's like another whole song that goes on after this. But I just want to share a little bit of that so you get a sense of the type of work that my composer produces, which is absolutely, yeah, amazing, gorgeous stuff. So yeah, so that's Ada Lovelace, and then she starts translating, um, and then she basically, the next section would be the part where um, she starts engaging with the Italian mathematician's words, and so the other singer there, the man, is the Italian mathematician representing that voice, and it's much more like you know, there's a like a limit, like a the mathematician and even Babbage. Well, basically, this represents sort of like the world, the 19th century understanding of what was happening in sort of this creation of what would have been the first computer. And so you can see one mathematician attempting to articulate what he understands. And then Ada becomes this counterpoint where she interjects, like she both translates, but then she also expands. And then her vision ultimately drowns out the mathematician's voice and overtakes the whole thing. And it's one of my favorite things that I've written, and one of the favorite things, amazing collaboration. So I'll post a link in the chat. So if you want to go and listen to the whole thing, you can listen to the whole thing. But yeah, it's I really was very fortunate to get these opportunities to do this type of work because yeah, I just, as a writer, I didn't think it was something that was in my wheelhouse, to work in this type of thing. I was like, I'm a poet, write for the page, and I like reading in public spaces and sharing my work in that sense. But to do something that is then interpreted and expanded by a musician, by a composer, and then put into the mouths of singers and accompaniment with amazing, musicians, is something that I could not have imagined, and it's something that I absolutely love doing, is working in this type of partnership. And it all started really like with a class I took during my PhD called Writer and Composer, where they paired us. They had it was graduate creative writing students, graduate music composition students, and a class of vocal performance students that met at the same time. And we worked in these teams where you would be paired up with a composer as a writer, and you write a text, a short poem or a few lines from a larger piece, and or something brand new, and then the composer would set it and arrange it, and then the singer would then perform it. And so we got to rotate through different partnerships, working with different composers and sometimes different singers, and just hear like your words become something completely different. They're your words, and then at the same time they've become something bigger than you imagine. That the power of music is that it transcends language, right? Because you feel it deeply, even though you may not always understand distinctly each word. You feel the intention, the emotion of what's going on. And so the whole experience, evolve is a good word. It evolves and expands and becomes something that fills an entire space. And so that's one of the things I just love about working in music. The other thing I like about working with composers is that two things. One is that my writing, the poems that I've written that are set to music and then performed as contemporary art song, that translates into actual checks for me, which is great. It's really wonderful as a poet to get a royalty check from performances, because as a poet, usually you write something. When you publish individual poems, you rarely get paid money. You get paid in copies of your own work, right? They send you a copy of the literary journal. And it's like, yay, I have a copy of my own work. Okay, that's why I did this, right? Or they send you a token payment, right? And yeah, so it's very different. And then if you are successful in finding a publisher for your book and getting it published, you might win a small prize, which I say is small in the sense of it's $750 to maybe $2,500, top end maybe $3,000, and that's really your cash advance for your royalties that you would have made from selling the book. If it and your books will almost never sell out past the advance, so that prize money, yeah, you won't see anything past that prize money, which in LA covered like 1 or 2 months rent, right? So that's basically what you got. And then what was I going to say? Oh, or in some cases, if you didn't win a prize and it was just picked up for publication by a press that likes your work, you got paid in copies of your book that you could then, you might get 20 or 25 author copies, which are on you to sell, in the sense that those are copies that you can sell at readings and book signings and book launches. And you can charge whatever you want for them, right? And then once you're gone through those, then you can purchase additional copies at an author rate, which is usually somewhere between half price or half of the full price, or sometimes you get lucky. My second publisher lets me buy copies of my book for $350, right? So like, even though it's a $15 book, I can buy it for $350, which gives me a lot of room in terms of how much I mark it up. Yeah, so in those cases, that's what you get paid, usually copies of your own work. But with music, you get royalty checks. They're not always big ones, they're usually not, but you get royalties, and you get the wonderful experience of seeing your words, your poetry travel across borders and across spaces and across audiences that you never would have had access to otherwise. And that to me is probably the most exciting thing, is just to know that, yeah, that poem has been, once it became music, was then performed in Singapore and performed in like all these other places. And that's really cool. It's like, how does that happen? That's really cool. Now I credit my composer for being just absolutely brilliant. So that's how it happens. Okay, so let's we kind of blathered on for a while here. So we're gonna find someone to raid and wrap up for the night, and I'll get some sleep. Let's see. Well, I'm on the top with the Twitch viewers right now for TLD. Weird. Who is T-Bone? Chill Cozy? I don't know. Let's see. Japanese streamer. That's a rerun. PlayStation 5. Where is that? Oh, okay. I think I know where that is. Okay. This person's doing Blackrock Prison, trying to get out of Blackrock Prison. So maybe we'll join them. They seem to be a new streamer. Okay, let's do that. 4 GTV games. See how they're doing. Oh, they sound super tired. Okay, we'll try this. Oh, they don't allow me to raid. Okay, so who am I supposed to raid then? I guess maybe we're raiding T-Bone then. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really feeling... What's this one like? Okay, maybe we'll try this one. Someone's over in... I think this is Bleak Inlet right now. Okay, we'll try again. Man, people's raids... So, I don't know. No one wants to let people in for raids, so... I guess we're just going to wrap up here and say sorry. I guess we don't have anyone else to raid. I mean, unless we go international, that's the other option, is to really go super international and drop in on. How's your Japanese? I don't know. All right, we're just going to wrap up then. Sorry, we tried. Okay, thank you all. We'll catch up again. Probably tomorrow night. Yeah, take care. If you aren't already following, give a follow. Don't have to, but it would be nice. And we'll see you all tomorrow night. Thanks, and